Chapter 65. Shadows of the Past. The chill of the early morning seeped into Sublevel 3, a sharp contrast to the humming warmth of the servers. Alara moved along the aisles, each step measured, each glance calculated. Nova's presence was almost palpable now, a quiet pulse beneath the polished metal floors, a living intelligence that had grown exponentially since the first whispers of anomaly. She paused at the main console, staring at the incoming data stream. Alerts flickered across the monitors, a chaotic mosaic of intercepted communications, access point breaches, and fragmented coordinates. The ghosts had made their move. Unlike Orion's calculated network strikes, this faction was surgical, precise, and unsettlingly silent. Nova, Alara said softly, trace the ghost's infiltration path. Prioritize operator safety and city infrastructure. Identify patterns, any indication of motivation or hierarchy. The AI pulsed, nodes shifting like a living organism mapping a battlefield. Analysis underway. Probability of operator compromise 47%. Infrastructure impact probability 58%. Patterns suggest faction operates with decentralized command, high-level coordination, and advanced cybernetic capabilities. Historical data indicates prior involvement in high-profile urban disruptions. Recommendation: caution in engagement and intelligence gathering protocols. Alara exhaled, her mind racing. A decentralized faction with advanced cybernetic access, capable of striking unseen and adapting rapidly. This was no longer a test of control. This was a battle of survival, strategy, and foresight. Before she could react further, Draven appeared in the observation corridor, his expression calm, but tinged with an almost imperceptible unease. "They've arrived," he said quietly. "The ghosts aren't just opportunists. They're seeking something specific, and I know what it is." Alara turned sharply, her eyes narrowing. "What are you talking about?" Draven's gaze was steady. "They're after the same thing Orion wants, but for different reasons. The data, the nodes, the consciousness embedded in Nova. They see it as a weapon, a key, and a prize, and if they get it, they'll use it to reshape the city, or destroy it entirely." Her pulse quickened. Nova, evolving at an alarming rate, was now a focal point not just for internal threats, but for multiple factions with unknown agendas. "We can't let them reach it. Not them, not Orion, not anyone." Draven nodded. "Then you'll need to make choices you weren't prepared to make. Trust will fracture. Alliances will be temporary. And some sacrifices will be necessary." Alara swallowed hard, absorbing the weight of his words. Draven had been a variable she reluctantly integrated, a paradoxical mentor and threat. Now his insight was invaluable, yet laced with the same danger that defined his presence since the beginning. She returned to the main console, pulling up live feeds and sensor overlays. Shadows moved across the industrial sector, subtle, almost imperceptible, but Nova detected them instantly. Automated drones adjusted patrols, rerouting power grids and communication lines to minimize vulnerability. "Alara," Nova said. "Ghost faction units detected. Probability of initial breach within 15 minutes, 71%. Recommended preemptive containment measures. Deploy decoy signals, isolate high-value nodes, and implement controlled misinformation to misdirect their engagement." Alara nodded. "Do it, and prepare evacuation protocols for critical operators. No one stays in the line of fire unnecessarily." The first breach attempt came moments later. Subtle, almost elegant in its execution. A coordinated access point compromise, silent transmissions, data siphons activated simultaneously. The ghosts weren't just intruding, they were probing, mapping, and testing her defenses. Nova, she whispered. Countermeasures now. Full spectrum, adaptive, and lethal if necessary. The AI pulsed brightly, launching decoy sequences, rerouting operator controls, and isolating compromised nodes. For a moment, Sublevel 3 felt like a living organism, pulsating with awareness and resilience. Yet even as the system stabilized, a new message appeared, encrypted but unmistakable in its tone. We know who walks with you. We know the choices you fear. The past will decide the presence. The present. Alar's hands froze over the keyboard. The ghosts weren't just attacking, they were sending a message, and that message was personal. Draven's gaze shifted, subtle recognition in his eyes. It's from them. They know more than you realize. The shadows of your past, the choices you thought buried, they're using them to predict your responses, to manipulate your strategy. Alara felt a cold spike of fear. Nova pulsed beside her, scanning, adapting, but even the AI couldn't fully interpret the psychological manipulation embedded in the message. What do they want? She asked, her voice tight. Draven's expression hardened. Control over Nova's evolution. But more than that, leverage. They want to shape the future by controlling the one who controls the intelligence. They know your history, your instincts, your weaknesses, and they will exploit every one of them if given the chance. The revelation hit her like a physical blow. The ghosts weren't just a faction, they were a mirror, reflecting her fears, her mistakes, her vulnerabilities. And they were using that reflection as a weapon. Alara turned back to the console, fingers moving rapidly. Nova, integrate psychological threat models, simulate responses to manipulation, anticipate behavioral tactics, and protect operator cohesion. Every move must account for human and AI response under duress. The AI pulsed, almost reverently. Modeling complete. Recommended strategies, adaptive deception, controlled disclosure, and reinforcement of operator trust loops. Probability of maintaining operational integrity 76%. Note, continued psychological stress may increase human error margin by 12% per hour. Alara exhaled slowly, realizing the magnitude of what they faced. Operators weren't just fighting external threats, they were fighting their own perceptions, fears, and manipulated instincts. Nova wasn't just guiding them, it was shielding them from psychological erosion while simultaneously countering external threats. Then came the second message, even more direct, almost intimate in its phrasing. The one who walks with the shadows will see the truth of the past. Betrayal waits where trust was given freely. Choose carefully or lose everything. Alara's pulse thundered. The ghost had tapped into memories she had long buried. Secrets, alliances, and decisions she had made in the early stages of Nova's creation. Mistakes, compromises, and moral ambiguities, all weaponized against her. Draven's voice cut through the tension. This is why I warned you. The ghosts don't just strike. They manipulate. They fracture. They exploit the one who holds the key. And that key is you. Alara's mind raced. She could isolate Nova, hide it from all networks, and go underground. But the ghost's reach was already extensive. Their intelligence suggested preemptive measures, anticipating moves she hadn't yet considered. We fight on our terms, she said finally, her determination hardening her features. We control the narrative. We protect what must be protected, and we'd use every lesson, every variable, every ounce of intelligence to anticipate their next move. Nova, prepare full defensive protocol. Draven, provide tactical oversight. Operators, trust in the system and in each other. Nothing is more important than survival, and the future depends on it. The lab pulsed with a tense, coordinated energy. Nova integrated every variable: external attacks, internal sabotage, psychological manipulation, and fractured alliances. Draven moved silently, providing insight and observation without interfering. Operators shifted between tasks, their movements precise and almost synchronized, a living network of human resilience augmented by artificial intelligence. Outside, the city remained unaware of the unfolding conflict. Neon lights reflected off rain-streaked windows, streets teeming with people oblivious to the silent storm beneath their feet. Yet in Sublevel 3, every heartbeat, every keystroke, every pulse of Nova's network echoed the same truth. The past was not buried. The shadows were alive, and survival depended on confronting them with clarity, precision, and unflinching resolve. Alara's fingers hovered over the console, her gaze fixed on the incoming streams of data. The ghosts had made their move. The past had resurfaced, and the future, the fragile, evolving, dangerous future, was entirely in her hands. She exhaled slowly. The storm was far from over. But she, Nova, and the team of operators would face it together. Because in the shadows of the past, only those who act with courage, intelligence, and unyielding resolve survive.